Ang Lee is a director known for his subtle yet ambitious visual style, and also for the focus on emotional details. Ang Lee has established himself as one of the most accomplished directors in Chinese and English language cinema during the course of the last 2 decades. Now we are going to analyse his early stage films, which are well known as Lee's Father Knows Best trilogy, and how they relate to or affect to his later works. The first one, Pushing Hands. In the first of his 3 Taiwanese films, Lee has used characteristics of his own family in the Chu family. Mr. Chu is shown as a father in the old Chinese tradition. He has an expectation of a sense of duty that his son should look after him in his old age, just as Mr. Chu had looked after he survived through the war and the death of his wife. The father figure here is shown to be upright, with dignity and authority. Mr. Chu now expects his son to look after him in return. Alex, the son, is trapped in the middle of the strained relationship between his father and his wife. He feels a sense of obligation to his father, which he cannot fulfill without neglecting his wife. The generation gap. The film's first 15 minutes are almost completely without dialogue. It shows a series of contrasts between the father, master of Tai Chi, and the Western wife. Also, the generation gap and culture clash are demonstrated when Mr. Chu comments on the values Jeremy is being taught. In Western world, everything is a deal, and manners and common courtesy are used as trade-offs. He comes deeply troubled at Jeremy's attitude towards his parents and in the bargaining used.
和我奶在看电视。
美国教小孩好像是做买卖，什么都谈条件。
You should at least look at the photos. It's apparently a real
这
still.
小孩吃饭都不专心，还有什么事情值得专心的呢？
是啊，爸。
还有这美国动画，完全是怪力乱神，唯恐天下不乱。
Mealtimes are used to show the cultural differences and the tensions within the family. Alex is torn between separate conversations with his father and wife. Each wants to know what the other is saying, and neither enjoys the food that he has prepared.
怕您菜凉了。
What has he been babbling about?
Violence in cartoons.
How can he complain? He's a martial arts expert himself. Isn't that violent enough?
Would you cut it out? Both of you. Just eat.
When Mr. Chu and Martha simultaneously prepare food in the small kitchen, the cultural differences between them are highlighted. She serves up sloppy, unappetizing macaroni cheese. He serves up a complex array of colourful and appetizing Chinese dishes. In the opening scene, Chu puts a bowl of rice covered in a tin foil into the microwave. She scolds him as though he were a child.
Jesus! Oh!
No metal in the microwave! No metal!
Secondary, the wedding banquet. The father figure. Wei Tong's father is a former KMT general who saw his family massacred in the civil war of the late 1940s. By escaping death, he's left with an urgent desire to become a grandfather, which makes the protagonist, Wei Tong, has the pressure to continue the family name and blood by having a baby. The military father, a symbol of traditional authority, becomes another pressure towards Wei Tong, that he cannot tell the truth of being gay. The relationship between Wei Tong and Simon remains secret. The generation gap. Once again, Lee navigates the changing relationships between a son and his father. When Wei Tong's parents arrive in New York, they are so delighted that their son is to be married. To them, Wei Tong is finally fulfilling his duty as the only son in carrying on the Gao's name. He would rather please his parents by his fake marriage than be true to his own sexual orientation. The gap is demonstrated by showing the different style of wedding ceremony, and it also emphasizes how far their son has moved away from them, both in terms of distance and tradition. Food. As the film's title implies, the film revolves around a grand wedding banquet. However, the use of framing during family meals tells much more about their relationships than dialogue. There are 6 scenes, which include seduction, negotiation, and fighting theme, all set on dining table. As the family sit around the dinner table, the conversation lapses into Chinese, and Simon is constantly asking Wei Tong for a translation, especially when the food is praised. The language barrier allows the dinner table to be a hotbed of gossip exchanges. The use of food also shows the relationship within characters. Wei Wei is unable to cook, so it is Wei Tong's secret boyfriend who prepares all the family meals. Even before Wei Tong's parents accept him, he still ensures they will have a healthy meal on the return flight home. Ang Lee is a guest at the wedding banquet. He utters the immortal line, "We're only seeing the results of 5,000 years of repression," in response to an American guest surprise at the raucous antics of the Chinese guest. After the East meets West plot, Ang Lee shows more of his ambitions in the third film, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. The father figure. Mr. Chu is a widower whose children are becoming increasingly ambivalent towards him as a provider and a disciplinarian. They are forging their own careers and romances, and he is beginning to feel redundant. He is of a generation where the father is respected and revered, and so he is forced to go in search of a new family for whom he can once again be the strong patriarch. He is unable to tell his daughters that he loves them, so he demonstrates his love with the only way he can, through the ritualistic preparation of these elaborate dinners. The generation gap. The generation gap is at its most painfully acute when Mrs. Liang, the widowed mother of Jerome, flirts outrageously with Mr. Chu. His daughters expect an imminent marriage announcement, and it is a great shock to them all when a slightly tipsy Mr. Chu announces that he is to marry Jerome and be a father to Shanshan. Food. Food preparation is a central metaphor in this film. The father is not able to tell his daughter that he loves them. Instead, he prepares these elaborate Sunday meals at which they all sit and eat. The food preparation even becomes the film's opening sequence by using a Steadicam camera in the banqueting sequence. He reflects the fast-paced nature of working in such an establishment. Food is also used to show the generation gap. Mr. Chu is the head chef in the restaurant. In contrast, his youngest daughter has a part-time job in a fast food burger joint. Mr. Chu also shows his love by exchanging his stepdaughter, Shanshan's lunchbox, with his own cooking and finishing her mother's ill-packed lunch. It also reinforces the sense of losing function of his taste buds. The father figure. The metaphor of food and the struggling relationship with the family, Ang Lee is ambitious to use any genre to find stories featuring these contexts. Ang Lee often reflects the authority of his military father in his male-dominated family setting. It not only shows in traditional Chinese culture, but also demonstrates in the old-time Western family structure.
Who else would I be talking to? Take that thing off!
Then forget all the stern dad stuff.
I'm not interested in your smart remarks right now, young lady. Let's go. Right now, you and I can discuss it on the walk home.
The use of food to show the character's change and social position.
真该好好庆祝一下，太过瘾了吧！上千人怒吼着“中国不能亡，中国不能亡，中国不能亡，中国不能亡”。
一会儿要开会，你们今天有什么消息？
廖太太约了我去她家，陪她老奶奶打牌。
她很谨慎，在裁缝店的时候就把老曹和保镖都打发了，可见老曹也不是她的人。
不啰嗦，下回你就照今天这样把他骗进屋里来，一枪把他解决。
他估计小麦不会来。
The generation gap and conflict within family often come up at dining tables.
Three different religions at the same time, Piscine.
Why not?
Because believing in everything at the same time is the same as not believing in anything at all.
Bobby, if you don't eat your dinner, I'm going to have to turn off that television.
Why, Mama? I'm going to be eating this food for the next 2 weeks.
Hey, you heard your mama. You finish your meal, and then you can watch again.
Daddy? Daddy?
Hell, we don't eat with our eyes. I want your boy to grow up to be a man, don't you, daughter? Boy, she watch football.
Not till he finishes eating the meal that his mama took 3 hours fixing. You sit down, you old son of a bitch! This is my house, this is my child, and you are my guest. You sit down before I knock your ignorant ass into next week.
Ang Lee has adapted himself to both Western and Eastern cultures, and also different types of storytelling. But the key theme of his centre is always about the struggle with or within the characters. This kind of struggle of humanity is without any language bordering, and that's what makes him successful.